Downsizing is the new movie with Matt Damon, where people shrink down in size so that they can live a luxurious lifestyle because everything they need is just like a spoonful of food or something because they're so incredibly small. Apparently, a group of Dutch researchers have come up with a way to reduce the size of cells so that they are 1,000 times smaller, I guess, which is pretty crazy. It's wild, says Matt Damon. You've probably seen the trailer, right? Well, once you've seen the trailer, I guess it's probably best if you don't see the trailer, but if you've seen the trailer, then you know what's gonna happen for the next 40 minutes of the movie, and that's too bad, because the movie has such a slow start. It's just, oh man, this person's living and he's hearing about downsizing on the tube, and then oh gee, now he's 10 years later and he's still not downsized. Oh, and then 5 years later he's thinking about downsizing. Oh my gosh. And it's really bizarre that they thought it would be intelligent to have all this time spent talking about downsizing without actually being downsized. Is the build up worth it? Is the pacing terrible? I'm confused about these things, because when he actually finally gets downsized, it turns out that the downsizing doesn't change a whole lot. The only thing that changes a whole lot is dynamics between humans. So all that talk about downsizing, it's mostly just, you could take out the downsizing and you'd have pretty much the same movie. Because everything here is just about the characters and how they interact with each other. You could basically just have it like, if instead of downsizing they would be living in an underwater city or a space station or something, it would be pretty much the same. And that's crazy, because the downsizing is actually a really cool gimmick. It's just odd that it's not. It's odd that it would be interchangeable about a movie, in a movie that's specifically about it. And so what is up with this downsizing, anyways? Why do they all shrink down exactly like 1,000 times? Why don't they? Why isn't there someone who shrinks down 900 times and he's then a giant amongst the downsized? I mean, I'd pay for that. That'd be great. I'd be huge, and I'd still have the benefits of not being a giant. In fact, being downsized. So it's weird that it's just this on and off switch, and there's no intermediate people. It's really insane, anyways, because you got these villages for the downsized, but it's basically like, how do you make sure that no one steps on it? Damn it! How do you make sure no child accidentally runs through and kills everyone? It's so crazy. They don't have any security. It's just mind blowing how they thought that this would all work. And there's no intermediate people. There's no dwarves that are still large to the downsized people but small to the normal people, which would make a lot of sense, because then you could have a village of dwarves or intermediates, and then you'd easily respect the boundaries of that, because they're still kind of humans, and they're still kind of on the same size as us, even though they're half as large. But then inside the intermediate city, you could have the downsized city. So that way you'd make sure that no one accidentally runs in and destroys everything. But I guess this movie just ignores the concept that someone would want to destroy these people, because everything is completely peaceful, and that's weird. There's that one guy at the bar who goes like, "Oh, you fucking downsized people! You're ruining the economy. You just took away all of your spending and earning, and now you shouldn't even have the vote. My God, you downsized people! You've come to take my jobs or something. Even though you're not taking the. Well, I guess they're actually taking the jobs. They can work in tiny call centers. It's pretty crazy. Yeah, a lot of this movie doesn't even make sense, because you got these slums. tiny people that got shrunk down, and then they live in slums. How do they live in slums? How is it possible? You could basically house 1,000 of these tiny beings for the same cost that you can house one person, and yet they've got slums in what appears to be the United States. How is it possible? How easy would it be for a humanitarian organization to come in and house these people in a way that they don't live in their own filth? And God, that slum was really crazy. But that wasn't all about that anyways. It was a lot more about just, like, God, what is that movie about? It's crazy. It was a good movie in a way, but I feel there's some kind of social justice undertones. I think this might just be the most progressive movie I ever watched, which is very odd considering it was actually kind of good. But yeah, anyways, it took like 40 minutes until they actually got downsized, if not long. I wish I had my cell phone, but I didn't bring it. So I don't know how long, but it felt really long. Maybe watching it again, maybe it didn't take so long. Maybe it's because like all of the scenes in the trailer were in there, but the trailer had the scenes right. The trailer had the scenes so that they were well paced. But then the movie added like 1,000 times more pointless filler to these scenes, where it's like, oh, they see the first downsized person, they decide to be downsized themselves. Oh, the wedding rings are so large because they were shrunk down. Oh, jeez. And then and then all the scenes in between were kind of pointless. And that's funny because the movie's called Downsizing. If only you would have downsized the time that we spent exploring all these pointless scenes at the start. God, what a movie we could have had. I mean, there was literally someone sitting next to me. He was saying like, oh, this movie is so boring. And that was at the start, and then later on he seemed to have enjoyed himself. So it's crazy how that happened. But then again, I'm pursuing this theory that movies get better if they add like really boring scenes at the start, which is what I've noticed in Coco. And well, there's a lot of things where it happens like that, where there's some really boring shit at first, but then it gets progressively more interesting, and even though it wouldn't have been that interesting without the boring shit, it's crazy. I don't know, what does it all mean? Should they have sped up the start? Who knows? Or maybe they just should have made it better. Maybe it should have just been more interesting. It gets really interesting then, and there's some crazy stuff going on all along, because at some point they're eating gerbils. They're like, oh, yep, I couldn't have gerbil meat, so I had hamster. Why would you eat hamster, you fucking maniacs? And then later on we see a village where they got tiny horses and tiny sheep and tiny everything. And why the fuck why do you eat hamsters when you could have just shrunken down a pig? I mean, obviously shrinking down a pig is a waste of a pig, but if you let that pig reproduce, then it shouldn't cost any more than the hamster, because it's tiny. So why the hell don't they have tiny pig farms? Why do they eat hamsters, damn it? Why? Nothing makes sense. Well, you should watch Downsizing regardless of all the plot holes that I just brought up. There's a lot of beauty in this movie right after all the boringness at the start.